surface point of view will be completely different. And at the surface, you tend not to see a whole lot of fish. Sometimes you might see some silverfish that are darting about the windows, and those are a mackerel scan. I do see a few here and there. But when it, comes to open water like this, you don't usually see a lot of fish, just because predators outrun the prey more often than not. But these mackerel, looks like I've seen a bunch on the right side now. These mackerel, they're real quick, and they travel in a school like that, which tends to confuse predators. So the mackerel, they do all right up here. And we're actually approaching 40 feet now. And as we get away from the surface, we leave those mackerel behind, and we get into this kind of no man's land, where we're not at the surface and we're not down by the bottom. Although pretty quick you'll see the bottom coming into view because the visibility is so good today. You guys actually come
What is that? Why is it so big and ugly?
The water, so it looks crystal clear down here.
It looks like it wants to eat us.
And you come to an area like this where there's very little fish to be seen. Just because they want a little nook or cranny to duck into as soon as danger presents itself.
Boy, you better leave.
And where you don't have that shelter, I mean, you tend not to see the fish. But believe it or not, even in a spot like this, we are actually surrounded by aquatic life. You'll notice this little white dust that's floating all around us. Most of that is plankton, either phytoplankton or zooplankton and other organic material. And that's what the mackerel we're doing at the surface, just feeding on that, because it is most abundant at the surface, closer to the sunlight. But you see it throughout the tour, always floating around, and that's really the building blocks of all aquatic life, not just the little mackerel, but all the way up to, of course, the largest animals on Earth, whales, all feeding primarily on that. And many of the species here do feed on just that. Approaching 50 feet now, the ocean floor, I think, is well in view on both sides of the vessel here. And what you'll see down there is mostly just a lot of rock and sand. The lighter patches, that's the sand, and then darker is rock. And really, where we come down, that is about all you're going to see. And we do that on purpose. We don't want to come down where there are already major obstacles. That would just be hazardous. And we don't want to come down where there is any major coral growth. So we don't want to potentially damage those incredible underwater ecosystems that we descend here. So we come down in a nice open spot like this. And finding such a location is not at all difficult. In fact, this is very typical of the waters around Hawaii. When the water here, compared to other parts of the Pacific anyway, it's real warm and salty. And when you have water like that, it's not the best for seaweed growth. So you'll see very little seaweed out there. And when it's so sandy like this, that's not the best for coral growth, because corals get a much harder foundation on which to actually form. And so what we've done, we've actually placed a variety of artificial reefs, which are just man-made structures that do facilitate that coral growth and provide that shelter for fish that they do so crucially need. And as we approach those structures, the aquatic life does increase dramatically. And if I point something out to you guys, I will just say kind of, left side and right side, rather than port, starboard, bow, stern, that kind of thing, because I don't expect a lot of y'all to be sailors or anything. So I'll just say left, right if I'm pointing something out to you. Oh wow, and we're actually approaching the first of our artificial reefs now. You guys are going to see them on both sides, actually. There's 6 of these structures out here. There should be 3 on each. And what we're seeing are some concrete pyramids that we put down here in conjunction with the University of Hawaii at Manoa. It was the students and professors there who actually built and designed these structures. And these were put down here in the late 80s, when it was well known that metal does provide a good surface for corals to grow on. It wasn't so well known whether concrete could achieve that same effect. And so this was somewhat of an experiment just to see how this concrete would perform. And what you'll see is admittedly not a whole lot of coral growth. Basically, this concrete is just too porous, too acidic to get a whole lot of corals. but the fish love these structures nonetheless. Because when we see fish around coral reefs, it's not necessarily the coral that they're attracted to, it's just any form of shelter, which these structures provide. Well, off the left side, there's a bunch of goldfish all along the ocean floor. You can spot them against the ocean floor. They're kind of a pale yellowish fish, and they have these little barbels on their chins that will sift about the sand for food. That's what they're doing out there, just blanketing the ocean floor. We don't have to put bait or anything in those structures to attract the fish like that. The water is no different back there from the water that you're seeing now. It is just the shelter that it offers brings them in by the hundreds like that.
There's a starfish. Right there. See it? Oh, wow.
And you will notice this trend throughout the tour. Where as soon as we get away from the artificial reefs, it goes right back into this flat, open, sandy floor that is so typical of Hawaii. So off to the right side, you will see there's some seagrass out there, and that's about all we get for seaweed. Less than a foot tall, just those little shrubs really. That's all that can survive
Are there
in
any
the
sea
water.
pickles? He never left. I want to see a shark.
Here's our next set of artificial reefs. And out of the way, these are arranged down here. We're going to show them on the left side first, then we'll turn around and put them on the right side. So you guys on the right, we'll get a good look at these structures in just a moment here. So those structures we call our Japanese reefs, just because they were donated to us from a company based out of Osaka, Japan. And in Japan, they'll use a structure just like that to grow the kind of seaweed you find wrapped around sushi, called dory. Where these structures are designed to have as much surface area as possible. Because that seaweed kind of grows like a moss, and it'll just be covering these structures. But again, here you don't see that kind of seaweed growth. Here we are just kind of using them as fish apartment complexes, which they're good at, as I think you'll see. Structures are made of fiberglass as compared to the concrete that we just saw. So you do get some more coral growth here and there. So around this Japanese reef, there's much of a larger silver fish out there. It's called a giant trevally. But those, given the size of them, they're actually the young ones. That's the minnow of that species. And even as a minnow, it's the largest fish you're going to see out here typically. And that fish, as an adult, the adult giant trevallies are the reason why we don't see a lot of sharks in our waters. Because that fish will actively attack a shark. It'll ram into it, bite its fin. They can beat a shark's gills to the point that the shark cannot breathe. And those are just the young ones. I mean, if we see one of the adults, I'll point it out to you, but I probably won't have to, because it is such an eye-catching species. And when they're young like that, they're all silver, and then as they mature, the females remain silver, but the males will get this jet black coloration to them. So you can see a real big, either black or silver fish, that's probably an adult giant trevally. So on the right side, you guys will actually notice it's getting rockier and rockier out there. In fact, off in the distance, I saw some dark rock kind of sloping uphill, and all of that rock, that's a lava rock, right? All the islands here have a volcanic origin, and basically you're looking at the island, you're seeing as it was forming, it was pouring all this lava into the ocean. And that lava does provide that good foundation for those corals to grow on. Because you have all that coral growth off in the distance as well. And if you follow that uphill trend back, that goes all the way back to the beach, back to Waikiki. And the corals go all the way back there as well. And not just back to the beach, those corals go all the way north to the airport, and then south to the Diamond Head crater. That's just a piece of the largest natural reef you'll see around the island of Oahu. And I don't know if you can tell from the motion of the sub now, but we've got a safe distance away from the Japanese reef, from this natural reef, and our pilot's swinging us around, and we're going to go through that slot once more. You guys on the right side will have the artificial reef coming into view shortly here, and then on the left you guys will see the natural reef swinging into view. This open area where we do this pivoting maneuver, sometimes you look down there and you can see some sea cucumbers or some starfish. Sea cucumbers, kind of a big worm looking thing. And the starfish, what we see from them is they'll be here 1 week by the hundreds, typically for like a spawning event, and then by the next week they've all gone their own way. So looking down there now, there's very few starfish out there. But what you'll have coming into you now is this lava rock ridge and all of that coral growth. Just kind of poking its head out from a little cave or beneath the coral. Although the octopus, during the day, they will hide right out in the wide open. But their camouflage is so impressive, you could be looking right at one and you wouldn't even know it. And the octopus we have here, they're only about the size of your hand. See, if you see one of those fist-sized corals or rocks out there breathing, that could be an octopus. And on the right side, there's those Japanese. Actually, there's a bunch of, there was a little yellowfish out there. This little yellowfish with a black dot on its tail. That's called a millet-seed butterfly fish. And that one you won't see anywhere else on this planet. That one occurs only in Hawaii. Normally it's just covered in seaweed, but you just don't see it surviving here in these warm, salty waters.
I'm putting them on my fishbowl. Put them in the fishbowl. Fish.
That we have down here, we put down here on purpose, but not that anchor. That anchor's been down here for like 120 years. It's from an old whaling vessel. You don't really see anchors made like that anymore. And And we just did another pretty major turn. You guys on the right might have noticed we're kind of going on the other side of those Japanese reefs, so we're going to distance ourselves away from that. And what we've done is we kind of have the island to our back, where we're heading offshore, now into some deeper waters. In fact, typically the deepest part of the tour is where we go next to see the next pair of artificial reefs we have down here. And this next pair will be evidence of Hurricane Iniki, this massive hurricane that came through here in 1992. In fact, those pyramids that we saw first might have looked like they were a bit damaged, and that's damage from that same storm. And this next pair, when we first put them underwater, they were only in about 50 feet of water. And if you look at our depth gauge, I mean, we're far from 50 feet. You guys on the right have that backside of the Japanese reefs coming into view there. But yeah, we're actually approaching 100 feet now, just to see where these ships are going to fly. That storm literally lifted them off the ocean floor and threw them where they are today. And those concrete pyramids, they're about 80 feet underwater, solid concrete, and still weren't safe from the swells produced by that storm. Which all should go to show how devastating those storms can be. Especially as we get away from the island towards this depth, notice it's barely even rocks out there anymore. It is just kind of sand and seagrass out there. But pretty quickly, life just starts to struggle as you get deeper. And the statistic I heard is less than 0.01% of all human beings will ever go below 100 feet underwater. And, well, here we are. This next pair of artificial reefs, we're going to have one on the right side first, and you guys on the left will have the other one coming in view in just about a minute here. And as it comes into view now, it might be hard to recognize, but what we're actually traveling along are the wings of an airplane. Now we're going from the right wingtip over to the left wingtip. It'll be more noticeable as you see the engines along the wings, you see the outline of the fuselage. But also, that's about all you're going to see. And when this was first put underwater, it was completely intact. This was in perfect condition. You can put on scuba gear, you can switch through the fuselage, you can sit in the captain's chair, all that. But this is what a submerged intact airplane looks like after a hurricane. And you'll see some of those larger giant trevally looming underneath the shadow of that wing now. And those of you on the left, same model, coming into view, they're both a Mitsubishi YS11. And this one in similar condition. Mackerel out there, those fish that we usually see at the surface. And if they're down this far, that usually means there was some sort of trouble at the surface. The dolphins, or sometimes you can see birds, dive down into the water and get those mackerel and drive them down here. Real big giant trevally out there. That large blackfish. Basically just bone and muscle is what you see from that species. And a shark is just cartilage, much more fragile. So they tend not to last very long around that fish. And that storm and tearing apart those aircraft white, which they love, and really quality 3 for 4. And those airliners, we've got those airline that is on there, and that one Pacific Airlines. But you will notice we've ascended away from that 100-foot mark now. We go up just a bit here. We got 2 more artificial reefs that we're going to check out, but we're going to get a good look at each one of them. And like those Japanese reefs, we put them on one side first and then the other side. We're going to do the same with each of the next 2. Not because there's multiple in a line like those Japanese reefs, but actually just because each one of them is so big. And it looks like our pilot's lining us up to show it on the right side first. And then we'll turn around and you guys on the left will get a good look at it. And before it even comes into sight, you'll notice there's this swarm of fish. And you know they're not just out in open water for nothing. You know there's something coming up. Oh, and there's 2 turtles on the ship right now. So we're coming to the sunken ship, and right on the very tip there's 2 Hawaiian green sea turtles. And if you see the little tails, that indicates that they're both females.
Aww.
Right on the very stern of that vessel. Hey, there's some scuba divers out there. Keep an eye out for them moving around. And not just turtles, but I mean, you have every exposed surface. Oh wow, look at that one. And that's a male. Look at the size of that tail. That's a male sea turtle. And it's so cool when you get to see them move like that. Because normally they spend so much of their day sleeping. To actually get to see them move in these waters is so cool. I mean, that vessel's just covered in corals. Literally thousands of fish live inside and around that reef, and just the sheer size of it all makes it such a spectacle. I think that was the most incredible reef you'll see around the island of Oahu, arguably around the state of Hawaii. And of course we'll turn around, put it on the left side for you guys over there. And what we see from those turtles is they'll come to a reef like that not for the protection that it offers, like the fish do, because they've always got their protection with them, so they got their shell. Basically, they'll find a spot where they kind of wedge themselves in, and they don't have to worry about the current taking them away. And then they'll just spend most of the day sleeping when they find a spot they like. They can hold their breath for 4 to 5 hours at a time, and they'll go up for air, and then just come right back down to the same spot if they like it. While sleeping, they get their heart rate down to just like 1 or 2 beats per minute kind of thing, almost like this pseudo-hibernation. And while sleeping, the fish will eat the algae off their backs, and that's a win-win. The fish get a meal, and then the turtle gets a clean shell. In fact, if they don't do that, the weight of the algae can sometimes be so much that it weighs them down, kind of makes it hard for them to swim. It's actually pretty crucial that they do that. Yeah, that vessel is a retired Navy yard oiler. It had served in World War II, Korea, and Vietnam before being retired. And what a yard oiler would do is it would just fill it with fuel, sit out on the open ocean, and let other boats fuel up on it like a mobile gas station. And so in order to carry enough fuel for itself and other ships, it had to be huge, and that's exactly what you see from it. Now our pilot has us turned around again. You guys on the left will have this vessel coming into view. Now this vessel, it doesn't just look incredible. It's actually very healthy in terms of reef health, if you can't tell by appearance. Whether it's this little orange and white fish you'll see out there, it's orange on its head, orange on its back, and And the white area on its body looks like a triangle, and that gives it the name pyramid butterfly fish. And that fish is very fragile. It can't live just anywhere. In fact, it can only live on a healthy reef. And so the fact that it's here today shows that it is indeed thriving. And if you can't tell, when the current allows it, it's a popular dive spot. You'll see all the large piping underneath that upper catwalk that the other ships would hook up to in order to fuel up on the ocean there. In fact, because the visibility is so good today, you guys on the right have a glimpse of the other sunken ship that's out there. We're going to go get a better look at that one in just a minute. As we approach the stern of the... Oh, look at that turtle right by the window there. Huh. Right by the sub. And then two right on the very stern. One's real little. Well, as far as that species goes, I mean, even the smaller ones is probably the largest reptile you've seen. That one, you know, usually when the Navy retires a ship like that, they just kind of use it as target practice. But we offered to buy that one, and they sold it to us for only $30,000. But then to actually sink it, it cost over $300,000. Because you got to strip that whole thing of paint, remove every little remnant of grease and fuel and all of that. Because we want to create a reef, not an environmental disaster. But all of which I think absolutely worthwhile, because it is such a splendid reef now. And going along the length of it, part of that sinking cost was to put those large square cutouts you might have seen along the hull, kind of looking like windows or something like that. But that's all actually just to help the air escape as you sink it. And it's very indicative of a ship that was sunk on purpose. Because if you don't do that, it holds a bunch of air in the hull, and the air usually goes to the bow when you try to sink it, so it kind of goes bow up and then sinks. And when it goes bow up like that, you know, put the bow out of the water, completely unsupported, and as a boat that size, it'll just break the whole thing in half. Like the Titanic sits in two pieces on the bottom of the ocean. That one would have done the same thing. But all those holes allowed the air to come out, and it came down in a nice, easy, controlled manner, where it's sitting upright and looking pretty sharp for a boat that was built in 1944 and has spent decades submerged in corrosive salt water. It's looking pretty sharp. And that other sunken ship, you guys might have seen it off in the distance. We're going to get a better look at that one now. The next one is the San Pedro. Japanese built fishing vessels, small cargo hull, and that kind of thing. This one has a different story entirely. In fact, when you look at it, it'll look more like a proper shipwreck. And what happened to this one is, it caught on fire. And the crew used all their fire extinguishers, and that doesn't work. On that day, they were transporting a load of soy sauce, and so in their desperation, they dumped the soy sauce all over these flames, trying to get it out. That doesn't work either. Eventually, using salt water and other means, they do get it out, but by the time they do, their boat's a mess. Their communications are destroyed, the engine room is destroyed. Now it smells like soy sauce. Anyway, the Coast Guard happens upon them in like 12 days, I think it is, and everyone's fine, you know, everyone survived. But again, that boat's just in utter disrepair. And then it gets towed back to our harbor where it sits for like 15 years. You know, the guy who owns it doesn't even bother to repair it. And you guys on the right have coming into view. Oh, there's another turtle moving around on this one as well. How cool. Right on the very bow of that one. and then that bow drops to this lower deck where you can really start to see the damage that has taken place on this vessel from that storied history that it has. Especially as we approach the midship portion, you can look straight down through the deck into the hull because it has just fallen away. And this one does have holes along the hull, kind of looking like the first one, but with these, we didn't put those there. It's just because it is falling apart to such a degree. Yeah, that one. Now it was bringing that soy sauce from South Korea to South America, and our harbor was just the closest when it sank, or when that incident occurred anyway. It gets towed back to our harbor. It's there for some time. It actually just sinks right in our harbor. And at that point, the state takes over it, and they were just going to kind of bring it into international waters, trash it, sort of thing. But we heard about it, we offered to buy it, and the state, eager to get rid of it, sold that one to us for literally $1. Basically just to have it written down on paper that the exchange took place and it's officially our problem now, sort of thing. And then again, you know, over $300,000, making sure it was fit to put down here. But again, absolutely worthwhile because it is such a healthy reef. I mean, yeah, it's far from being a pretty boat, but you do still see the pyramid butterfly fish. That fragile little fish that can only live on a healthy reef. It's all around the San Pedro as well. So yeah, it's far from being a pretty boat, but it is a beautiful, flourishing reef. And our pilot does have us turned around once more. You guys on the left, we'll have it coming into view within a minute here. Lower deck, it'll rise up into the upper deck of the bow, and there was one turtle hanging around. Let's see if it stuck around. No, I didn't see it up there, although sometimes they're hard to spot when they're not moving. You just kind of see the roundness of the shell stick out among the other features because they tend to blend in real well with the decks of those ships. But those two sunken ships, they are the last of the artificial reefs that we see. We begin to kind of motor our way towards our surfacing site now. Now on the way back, it is typically a bit rockier than where we come down, so you get some coral growth here and there. And these artificial reefs, they're also spectacular. But, I mean, as you look around us now, this is the real Hawaii, right? These flat, open, kind of rocky, sandy areas, that's what the waters around Hawaii actually look like. It really should go to show, actually, how important these artificial reefs are to the area. In fact, I heard estimates say when we introduced our series of reefs, the aquatic life increased literally 3,000%. And usually on the way back, if you see any kind of substantial coral growth, there's fish all around it, just because that's usually the only naturally occurring shelter that there is out here. But you might have noticed there's this little white and black fish that swims right by the viewports, always kind of swimming right by the windows, and that one actually uses the submarine as its reef. It lives on the submarine. It swims above us all day, follows us back to the harbor, and then comes out every day. The Hawaiian Sergeant Major is what it's called. The stripes on its body represents the stripes that would be on the shoulders of a Sergeant Major, the 5 stripes, whereas I only have 2 on my shoulders, right? So that fish actually outranks me. Yeah, it lives right here on the submarine. And around Hawaii we have, about 680 different species of fish, which might sound like a lot, but other parts of the Pacific will have upwards of 2,000, very commonly. It's just because we are an island, and it's always hard to life to get out to islands. But then also once there, it's kind of stuck, and it forces these unique interactions, and you get these evolutionary trends that you don't see anywhere else on the planet. And you see exactly that with the Hawaiian Islands as well, where about 30% of our species are endemic. And so these artificial reefs are not just, providing homes for fish, but it is for these fish that can live nowhere else. And motoring towards our surfacing zone here, you guys might notice, actually throughout the tour, but just particularly noticeable here, there's like some bricks or some ropes kind of laying on the ocean floor. It might look like junk, but we put all that down here ourselves. And in fact, it's kind of like a breadcrumb trail for our pilot to follow, where he'll just find a line of bricks and follow it from one obstacle to the other, sort of thing. If we get too far off course, then the rope's kind of guiding us in the right direction. On all the artificial reefs, there's a rope that just kind of dangles in the current, and that's all it does, is it just shows us what the current's doing around that object. So we know which side to pass it on. Worst case scenario, we get blown away from something rather than into it. All of these just visual cues to help our pilots navigate this dive site. Because down here, he's not using a map or sonar or anything like that. We really just have his eyesight and a compass. And so that's exactly how we're getting around down here. And when we get towards our surfacing site, we have to communicate with our control vessel where we are underwater. Surfacing maneuver, I think, is pretty cool. And how we do that is we shoot up this huge air bubble to the surface. I'm not sure if you guys saw it coming in, but you can see it from the Discovery coming in. And then it bubbles up top. It kind of looks like a jacuzzi the way that air bubble is bubbling up there. But literally the size of a submarine. So that our control vessel will spot that bubble, have a general idea of where we want to surface, make sure there's no traffic up there, and give us the okay to go on up, or to maintain our depth if there is some traffic. Especially in a spot like this, where you just kind of have some little coral heads to look at, you really notice just how blue it all is down here. You're not seeing a lot of the colors that you would expect from a documentary, right? And what's actually happening there is water just being so much denser than air. It doesn't just get darker down here, but you do actually lose colors. And the first to go is red. Right at the top of the rainbow, longest wavelength, lowest energy. Red gets absorbed after about 25 feet. And then typically in the order you see them on the rainbow. Orange, yellow. Those wavelengths, they struggle to make it down here. But what does make it is blue, indigo, violet. Those high energy, high frequency wavelengths. And that's why everything down here just has that shade of blue to it. So a lot of those dark corals, they are actually red. And some of the paler ones are yellow. But right now we're just cruising at about 50 feet underwater. And as long as all we have is sunlight, you're just not going to see those colors very well. So there's no lights on right now, right? Inside or outside the sub, this is all just sunlight. If you wore the color red down here today, it tends to look much more purple, sometimes almost like a brownish. To get the kind of shots you see on documentaries. They're either closer to the surface than we are, or they do bring down their own independent lighting rigs. Also, beyond the visible light spectrum is ultraviolet light. So things that would pop underneath a black light tend to kind of stand out down here as well. I'm not sure how many people see it, but there's a pretty prominent antler coral out there, just off the left side. It's maybe a foot tall, but considering a coral will only grow half an inch a year, that's decades of coral growth. Now that sound, that's the air bubble. That air bubble going up to the surface, our control vessel's going to see that bubble. We'll get in touch with them and see if we got the clearance to go on up.
Okay.
Surface 28 after, clear surface 28.
Okay, clear surface coming up.
Alright, yeah, we just got the okay to go on up. You guys can watch the depth gauge. We actually started ascending at about 50 feet. We're just past 40 feet already. It's pretty impressive how quickly a 100-foot submarine can go up 50 feet. Because here we are, back at the surface. And you'll notice all the color comes back to the cabin as well. It's not just that shade of blue anymore. Although those of you closest to the hatch, you will have to stand up once more, I'm afraid, just so I can get the hatch open and the ladder down. My deepest apologies. Alright, I'm going to open this and then I'll be right back with you guys.